Greetings viewers, Eric the Car Guy here, also known as ETCG1, here on ETCG1 channel. And on ETCG1 channel, we do not do repair videos, but I will post a link in the description and you can go to my Eric the Car Guy channel and watch all the repair videos you like. Here on ETCG1, we talk about stuff, so if you're bored with that, you might want to watch something else. However, if you want to stick around and join in the conversation, you're welcome to do so. How are you? Yes, behind me, the 2002 GMC Sonoma, formerly owned by my good friend Ryan Coffey. And I'm happy to see this truck. I'm always happy to see this truck. It's been about a little more than a year since I put the engine in it. It's still running great, no leaks of any consequence to speak of. The thing is doing well. Today, it's in for some brake work, which brings me to the point of this topic, or the point of conversation of this video, and that is make sure you check it out. And in this case, this Sonoma is just fine. And as I said, it just needs front brakes. They got worn down pretty good. Actually went metal to metal, unfortunately, and I'd be doing a video on it, except for I have already shot a video on doing the front brakes on this truck, so I'll post a link in the description for you for that. But the point of this video is, like, anytime you have a mechanical problem, either as a technician, a DIY, or what have you, it's a really good idea to thoroughly check things out to make sure that everything is good before you head to the parts store. And that's why I have all four wheels off here, even though I knew when it came in that it actually had an issue with front brakes. I went back to the back just in case, and I gave the thing a good once over. Now, part of this, admittedly, is because I feel a certain attachment to this truck, a certain obligation to it. I want it to last pretty much forever, because in a way it represents my friend Ryan, and he may not be here anymore, but the truck is. And as long as I'm around, we make sure that this darn thing runs just about forever, longer than myself if possible. It's something of a memorial to him. But that being said, it doesn't matter what you're working on, it's just a very good idea to thoroughly look things over. It's just good practice. Now, the first thing I did was, well, let me back up a little bit further. Ryan's mom calls me up, says, hey, because his brother's driving it now, says that it seems like we need brakes. And the first thing I did was take it out for a test drive. One, because I wanted to see how the engine was doing, how the transmission was shifting, and just basically how the truck was behaving. Also last year I put new shock absorbers on all four corners of this as well. So I've done a substantial amount of work here, and I want to make sure it's still good. So I took it out for a test drive, and you can learn a lot from a test drive. That can tell you many, many things. Of course, if it's your vehicle, you drive it every day, you've got a pretty good feel for when something goes awry. However, if you're a technician and all you got's a work order and and it's something of hopefully a decent description of the problem, that's all you normally have to go on. But the standard procedure is to verify the complaint. And one of the best ways to do that, in fact, something I highly recommend, is you take it out and drive it. As an experienced technician, you can tell a whole lot of things. As a DIYer that owns a vehicle, well, you own the vehicle. So as I said, you know when something's up. So I took it out for a drive, and sure enough, I did hear the brake noise that I'm sure initiated the complaint about the brakes. But it felt good, it felt tight, it felt right. But to take the extra step, I did a couple of things. One of the things is I removed the back wheels, as you can see, to take a look at the drum brakes, which was no easy task in this case, because it appears the drum on the right side I don't think has been off since the truck was new back in 2002. Rear brakes are fine. It takes a really long time for drum brakes to wear out. They don't do a lot of the braking, plus the type of, well, rear drum brakes, I should say. So in older vehicles where you have four-wheel drum brakes, the fronts would wear out faster. They did the majority of the braking. That being said, I wanted to make sure that I could do the best brake job I could possibly do, and I wanted to look out for other potential issues. So I ended up removing, both rear wheels and also taking a look at the rear brakes. And I'm glad I did this, because even though I know I'm doing brakes, one of the things that I like to do, particularly on vehicles that have drum brakes, is when I'm performing a front brake service, I will also adjust the rears. And that, for many of you know that the adjustment of the rear brakes has a lot to do with how the brake pedal feels. So you get a much firmer pedal with properly adjusted rear brakes. I'll post links in the descriptions to videos that I've done about rear brake jobs and how to do those adjustments, just for good measure. But I often do that. But another reason why I'm back there, aside from going back to do the adjustment, and General Motors was nice enough not to give me any access hole through the back of the backing plate, which they sometimes do, where you can do the adjustment without removing the wheel, anything like that. Some vehicles even have a little rubber inspection plug that you can remove and get a look at the shoes without removing the wheel or the brake drum, which is really nice. Not the case here with the Sonoma. They give you the little blanks for where the holes would be for the adjuster, but they didn't punch them out or put a rubber plug in there, I guess because they wanted to spend money on other things like golf outings. I had to remove all that stuff to get to it, and I'm glad I did, because you also want to inspect, like, say, the wheel cylinders and see how, you know, what kind of shape the actual shoes are in. So that's what I did. Everything back there looks fine, looks great. Second thing I did before I went and called up Ryan's mom was to see if the pistons for the front calipers would compress. And the reason I did that is, say there's a brake hose problem or a caliper problem that causes the brakes to go metal to metal, and it wasn't just that they were worn and they got to that point. I wanted to ensure that by pushing the caliper pistons back, which I did. So now I know the calipers are good. Now I know the rear brakes are good, the wheel cylinders aren't leaking, and that the friction material there is going to last a while. And I've also taken it for a drive to find out if there's any strange noises or vibrations or things like that that might go along with it. Also noticed when I first started it up that it seemed to crank a little bit slow. So I checked the battery. Turns out the battery's about 5 years old. I load tested it. It's still good, but maybe come time for the cold weather to come around, it might be time to throw a new one in there just to avoid issues. But it's these types of things that you can do as a technician or DIYer that do take a little bit of extra time. And like I said, in this case, especially getting those rear drums off, that was a challenge for sure. But worth it in the end, because now I have the peace of mind. I can pass that peace of mind along to Ryan's mom and say, you know, hey, this truck's good. By the time I get done with it today and we fix the brakes and everything, it's going to be good. I probably won't see you again for another year, which, you know, hey, that's the way it is. But that's the thing. There's a tendency, particularly working flat rate, I know, to go for the shortest, quickest, easiest route possible. And I say there are many times, particularly on older vehicles, where you should resist that temptation and take that extra step to look for other issues that might be present before you get in there. Because had I not done the things I did with this vehicle, and say, for instance, I went in there and I found that there was a problem with, say, the caliper, and I had a caliper that was frozen up. That puts me in a position to where I've got to, one, hope that there's a caliper out there that I can get today to get it put together and get it done. And then I've got to call up Ryan's mom and say, hey, you're going to have to spend more money. Sorry, I didn't see it to begin with. I waited. So check things out thoroughly. Look for, you know, if you know you're getting into a job. I realize it's not possible with every job, but brakes in particular, it is very possible to pull off all four wheels. Yeah, it took a little bit of extra effort to raise the rear of the truck and take those wheels off and everything, but the payoff, like I said, I'm going to have a nice brake pedal when this thing leaves. I know that there's no issues back there, and that I can give this thing back with confidence, knowing that it's in good shape, and you know, and it goes on. And I'm not only selling the service that I'm doing, I'm selling the peace of mind. And I say that as a technician because there's special circumstances when it comes to me doing work on vehicles here in the shop, particularly for these people. But all that being said, that's the message of this video. The message of this video is be sure to check things out. And just the test drive alone can tell you so much so often. And I know that sometimes the descriptions on work orders that you might get are lacking in description, and that can be frustrating. So to combat that issue, yeah, you can do a couple of things. You can go to that service writer, whomever wrote that ticket, and say, hey, what's up with this? Or, you know, you can do both. You take it out for a drive, feel it for yourself, see how that vehicle feels. Do the brakes feel weird? Does it wander around the road? Does it have a vibration? Does it have a strange noise? Is the transmission shifting properly? Is the engine running well? Does it have a miss? Does it seem to labor? You know, is there an exhaust noise? Is there an exhaust note that does not seem normal? Or check engine lights on the dash, or other lights on the dash. I've seen all of the above, things that weren't mentioned on a work order. But There are times when customers are aware of a certain problem, but they may not be able to afford to fix it, and it's not something that's debilitating, so they choose to ignore the issue or, save it for a later date. However, you're off the hook because you went the extra step and you went through due diligence to try to ensure not only a good repair, but also, saving you from making that second, possibly third phone call to a customer, or, as a DIYer, having to go back to the parts store a second time because you didn't get everything you needed the first time. And when you've got your car down in the driveway and you need to catch a ride from somebody, they may only be able to give you one ride. So make it count. And you make it count by thoroughly checking things out and making sure you know what you're in for to begin with, as I said, particularly with brake jobs. But that is a long run-on sentence, it seems, for this. But I think it covered the basics of the topic I wanted to cover, which is cover your butt. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. But if you have automotive questions that were not covered in this video, which, as I said, we don't really cover that here, I would ask that you head over to ericthecarguy.com. Yes, go there. Go to ericthecarguy.com. There's a welcome video to tell you about all of our amazing features that are there to help you with automotive issues, should you have them. In addition to that, if you wish to connect with me socially, I can be found on Google+, Facebook, and Twitter. ETCG1 videos come out on Mondays, so stop back and see me then. And I close each of my videos with be safe, have fun, and stay dirty. See you next time.